recording, and it'll take a transcript as well.
Cool. Before starting the presentation, I'd like to preface that I read Greaves' note on why he's not here. Very sad news. I made these slides before reading that, so I just want to caveat that. It's not ideal timing, and it's obviously too late to change them.
You say something, Pat? Pat, you say something? Sorry, I thought I heard you say something.
This is actually my time, Derek. You can shut up. So we're going to be talking about how I ended up in last place this year in Dynasty. And I titled this a Will Huntoon memoir. I think it's important to talk about my journey. So the first phase of our 3-part series is to talk about the draft. And a wise man once said that you don't win your league in the draft, but you can lose it. And I think that's what happened here and is the core root cause of the problem. So first off, I had first pick in the Dynasty draft, which is always easy. You could Google any article ever, and it'll be like, everybody's going to say, pick this person. So this wasn't really the problem. Felt fine about drafting Christian McCaffrey at the time. He's super handsome, very athletic. Everything worked fine here. But after that, it kind of went downhill. So I picked a few examples of key players that I picked up. First one being Odell Beckham Jr., and if you're wondering how his transition to Cleveland went, it didn't go well. And he also not only didn't play and was perpetually injured after this, don't even think he actually made it through a game after I drafted him in the 3rd round. In each of these slides, I'm going to highlight other options of people I could have gotten much later in that round instead of OBJ. So all of these players, I think, might have been a little bit more valuable than this waste of space that I took as my 3rd pick. Next up, we can look at Tyler Lockett, who, like, I thought at the time was kind of this young up-and-comer, improving person, but passed on several other key pieces, which would have been much better players in the round. And then finally, my prime example is this core stack I had of Hunter Henry and Carson Wentz, who Carson Wentz, by the way, was my starting quarterback in Dynasty. Like, that's who I had throughout the years to go into this league with, and passed up on other great players over here like Deebo Samuels, Ayuk, anybody of any value, because these two people absolutely fucking suck. So I'd say that, you know, poker players will say it's not the cards that you're dealt, it's like how you play the hand. But at the same time, Ferrari's not like, oh, we don't care about the car, we're just going to pick a driver. So I think having really bad players is kind of the foundation of my suck over the last couple of years. I'm not taking questions at this time, Derek. The second thing I'd like to call out in this presentation is people fucking tanking. And this is ridiculous because it doesn't help anybody. Here's just one example I picked. I meant to cover up the name of this so that no one gets called out per se. But in this final week of the season, this person failed to start 2 people on their team, which fine, maybe a mistake, things happen, 0 points, maybe it's bad luck with injuries. But if you actually dig into this person's waiver wire pickups as well, they picked up 2 wide receivers during this time to be able to play during bye weeks. And shows, I'm going to actually pull the audience of people here. If you picked up Josh Reynolds and looked at his stats and what he did through the season, if you can't read this because it's small, it's all zeros, never played the field. And you picked up Tim Patrick at the exact same time to fill out your roster, who was heating up, scoring touchdowns, getting like 10 to 20 points a game. Who would you all choose to play on your team to try to win that game? James, I'll start with you first.
I'd take Tim.
You'd play Tim Patrick. Okay, interesting choice. Pat, what would you play?
I think I'd take that Tim guy.
Wow, Tim Patrick. Okay, 2-0. He's coming out strong. Luke, would you go all zeros?
I'll defer to Derek. He raised his hand politely.
Derek, who would you pick if you say anything else?
Josh Reynolds was due. I'm also confused by this part. Like, just to interject, how is you winning a key for you losing?
I will explain that, but
Okay.
if you interrupt me, I don't get to it, Derek.
I raised my hand. It's not an interruption.
Luke, who would you pick?
I'd probably go Tim Patrick.
Tim Patrick. Okay,
Oh
so
my
that's
God.
three
You guys don't know
votes for
anything
Tim Patrick, and then Derek being Derek. So
Explain.
weirdly, Greaves picked Josh Reynolds to start instead of Tim Patrick on this other person that was available for him.
He's a year
And
younger.
conveniently lost this game. And that put me back 2 spots back in the draft order and lottery. And I know this is going to get a little bit mathy, and Derek's in the room, so I'm sorry about that. But these spots like aren't linear. The difference between first place and second place to third are exponential. So dropping me back 2 spots is actually like a huge deal. And this screws me over in this lottery draft that we're about to do, because Greaves gets a much better spot, much better odds in his draft pick than me. And someone who actually has a really bad team that's trying doesn't get a better player. But conveniently, during the playoffs, he put up 50 points more, beat me in the toilet bowl, and look who he started, Tim Patrick. Go figure. Crazy how that happened, right? It's like, I think this is just absolutely garbage, and we need to consider this when even doing this lottery. Like, should we move him for me and bump me up a few spots? I think so. If I was commissioner, I would do something about this. I don't know if anyone's on the call that has that power, but I just think that this is absolutely ridiculous. And this is why my team sucks, is because I'm doing the right thing and Greaves doesn't, and he sucks. Okay, third topic of why I lost are trades. So to start off this section, I highlighted some trades that went through that I sent to people that everybody seemed to be very happy about. Here's an example of Christian McCaffrey and Tyler Lockett I sent to ZT, what he accepted for 2 firsts, made it all the way to the finals, almost won against Sean. I helped support that train. Here's another example of Gabe Davis that I sent a first for, of a bad trade, which is probably one of the reasons my team sucks, to James. But these are trades that at the time seemed like they were reasonable value and help teams that are behind improve their team over time, like reasonableness. This coming from me. Here's some examples that I sent out that got made fun of by certain people who aren't in the call, because they should be here doing their presentation as well. But I tried to very reasonably send a respectable offer for a struggling Tony on the Chiefs. Got declined and made fun of by Spitta, and we'll see what his counter was in this presentation as well. And similarly, I tried to get Herbert from Spitta at one point in time, offered him McCaffrey, Lockett, and Fields for this 2 years ago, back before, like, when Fields was a starting quarterback and coming up. And keep in mind that I already got 2 firsts and 2 thirds for this without Fields. And that's all I asked Spitta for, was pretty much Herbert. And he told me that wasn't enough, that I needed to give my soul over to him as well. So here are some of the trades that I get back from people in response for my reasonableness that I get accused of being awful. Spitta asked, we can see here what he wanted for a first round pick from him. He wanted 2 firsts from me and everything else in my team to send him over. And then for Tony, this was his counter. It was 2 firsts, Pierce and Madison, which 2 years ago were my up and coming players. So as you can see, he's a very reasonable person to do business with, to try to recover your team. Here's another example of James trying to pillage my first round early draft picks for people who don't even see the field. So that's not helping me recover. Here's another example of Greaves sending me, at the time, a tight end that didn't play behind Andrews and Aaron Donald, and he threw in a 4th for Christian McCaffrey. So obviously this is going to help really turn things around. And then similarly, Luke, this is you, right? You're on the call? This is great. Luke's trying to take my first round picks for all of his first round, bottom of the pool, late round draft picks. And similarly, he's trying to take my only good player, Reed, for absolutely jack shit. So all these people are not helping this process by not being reasonable. And people have actually just traded with some decency instead of just throwing around insults and appalling things in response. I'm not taking questions, Luke. Then that would make the system easier for bad teams to recover. So in summary, why I ended up in last place. My draft was absolutely worse than terrible. So it's really more of a miracle that I've done as well as I have done, as opposed to being in last. So we should think about me, and my performance is amazing, not bad. Second of all, people tanking like Greaves are horrible, spineless, bad actors that should just be dealt with. And then third, everything I do is great. Everybody else sucks. And all of these are on my stepping and perfect plan that I laid out to be 2029 Dynasty champion. So I am not worried about this last place finish at all. And I will be laughing with the trophy in my hands in about 5 years. Thank you, everybody.
I think Derek's been waiting, so he goes first. Well done.
That was beautiful.
I do have to say to the trading part, I once asked Will what he wanted for Miles Gaskin, and he said multiple studs. Do you guys know who Miles Gaskin is? Because I don't remember who he is.
Gas can. Everyone knows him.
He
Yes,
said
it's
multiple
true.
studs.
That's what I
including,
wanted.
but not limited to Saquon. So I ended up trading for Jalen Waddle, and I regret that every day of my life.
Hey, if you don't ask if you can't handle an honest answer, Derek. That's what I
I
wanted.
feel like that Joe Spitta can say the same thing for Kadarius Toney.
No, we saw what he thought about Kadarius
I
Toney.
mean,
He
you
was
should have
worth.
traded. You should have traded. Your soul is so fucking funny.
I'm
The
glad you-
Aaron Donald trade was bad.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, what did you say, Pat?
The Aaron Donald trade.
Speak louder. Like, you put on a headset or something.
Who invited this guy?
Oh man, that's crazy. My team's pretty bad, but like it's never been last place bad. And I was tanking at one point.
I will say I'm always looking at the math stuff that you were talking about, Will. And I also noticed people not playing people and I got frustrated, but I don't know what to do about it.
Kick
You
him
need to
out.
do what we
Burn 'em.
do in BSU. That if you have someone who puts up 0 points or negative points, you have to do ices. The only thing you can
That's
really do.
actually what I think we're gonna do. I think we talked about that actually. That's
Maybe we should vote on it. Maybe not. You don't just act with fucking full power. Yeah, we're
Well,
gonna do that.
We'll vote. But I think that's a good plan.
I think we should swap his
Fiora
spot
James.
in the draft
Pat,
order for
how much
mine.
do you love Fiora James right now?
How much you love what?
Fiora James.
Fury James?
Fiora James. Like the Mind Fiora. Pat knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah, see, he's a German loving boy.
all right.
Really
well,
big into history from like 1939 to 1944.
we might have to vote on who has the better presentation now, Pat or Will. What'd you think of that, Pat?
That was impressive. A lot of good colors in there. I certainly didn't have any colors. I went
Yeah.
with the bare white.
You don't like colored things, Pat? Wow, crazy.
Walked
He
right
went
into
just
that.
white. He said.
Oh man.
I will say I do love that so far everybody has started their presentation all the way from the beginning.
Well,
It all-
Will, I didn't realize how bad of a draft that was.
That was
OBJ in the third, like,
A lot of
probably
us-
looked great back then, but
Yeah.
that's like the ultimate stinker. Also, like Carson Wentz in the seventh, I feel like he was bad even then.
I think
He was
just
bad.
coming off like a 15-1 season.
No, because
Right?
that was the year. Was that the year after he? So that would have been like 2018, because that was the year because they won the Super Bowl the year that he got hurt, and the year before that was when they were nasty.
Mm.
No, the problem
Yeah,
was
I want to
doing-
say it was. I want to say it was that year he did well. Then he got hurt, and then he never sealed again.
And then Will was like, "I want to draft the guy who just got new knees."
He's got grit. He's got grit.
And he's hated by all locker rooms he's been a
Yeah.
part of.
I think the never playing Dynasty showed in drafting as well. Like if I was doing a draft now, I would do and prioritize like totally different positions. So I took like old established
I want to look at
running
my
backs.
first draft and see
It's just
who.
like
I'd be so interested us doing like another startup draft because like Derek, I think you might have done one, but beside that, like had any of us done Dynasty prior to this? I know I didn't.
No,
I feel like
I
we
had
had a ton of rookies.
joined a dynasty league, but I didn't get to do the original draft.
Okay.
it's like my
But,
team. I think I was like 12-5 the first. Like I did fine the first year, and then after that, it has just been an absolute mess since then. But I feel like I'm on the road to recovery now.
In the first year, we had defenses putting up like 40, 50 point games.
Yeah.
That was the Wild
Raph-
West of scoring.
Raph almost won the league solely off of his Steelers defense.
He would have earned it. Defense wins championships.
Yeah, Wentz was the 16th quarterback, 16th ranked quarterback in 2019. Then you drafted him.
That was my QB1.
Well, there's probably some pressure then. So there's all these quarterbacks already gone.
I was gonna say like
It was a
people
run.
like it just like absolutely swiped everybody.
I
He was
drafted.
young.
Yeah, he was young.
You said Vince Young.
Oh,
Like,
no.
there was a run, Vince
Oh,
Young. You know,
My second round pick was Kenny Galladay. Fourth round
wasn't that
pick,
the year
Tyler
he was
Boyd.
fresh off of the big contract?
Yeah. Kenny Galladay, DeAndre Swift, Tyler Boyd, Jalen Rieger. That was my four. That was rounds 2 through 5.
I don't know. See, it's crazy. Like, that's terrible.
Then Joe Burrow, good pick. Sony Michel, Tariq Cohen, Sterling Shepard, Johnny Smith, Aaron Rodgers, Joshua Kelly. Dude, this is a bad draft for me.
I do
Holy
think you were a
shit.
little ahead of the game. You picked young players, like when most of us weren't, but you picked the wrong young players.
Yeah. I got Saquon, DeAndre Swift, and Joe Burrow are like the only players still in the league.
It is crazy, like going back and just looking at like Justin Jefferson going in the 6th round, and
I got
and just
Jalen
all
Hurts in the
people before
20th
him.
round.
Yeah,
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, Will, that Wentz pick reminds me of who picked up Kenny Pickett? Was that Pat?
Yeah. Well, Raph had drafted
Oh,
him
Raph
Oh,
draft.
okay.
in like
Okay.
in the first round or something.
I was
He's
trying
still
to
on my
think.
team. He's my only backup quarterback.
Nobody collects quarterbacks quite like JT though. JT has like
Yeah.
7 quarterbacks.
That's why I can't get any.
Just won the
He's
league.
got them all.
Yeah.
He did win the league.
It's true. You want Joe Burrow, Pat? I'll trade you Joe
Fucking
Burrow
T.
for
Higgins.
Cody. Straight up
For
1-for-1
Cody?
trade. Yeah, right for Cody.
No, that is. I'll have to think about that one.
Y'all wanna jump into the lottery?
Oh
Yeah.
shit, yeah.
Yeah.
This is
Do you want me to share?
usually this is usually my saddest moment of the year.
let's see how Greaves does.
I don't have a first round pick, so like
Same.
the only person here who cares about what Greaves does is Luke because he's gonna end up on Luke's team.
Right.
I'm not gonna lie, the first like 4 or 5 weeks of the season, I thought Greaves fucking bundled me in that trade. It was not looking good. Mark Andrews sucked.
All right. Can you guys see this? It's a little
Yeah.
inception thing over here.
Order
Yeah.
again?
All
Hit the
right.
red button.
So here's the way this works. We have the seating based on all these. So I mean, well, you still got plenty of options here.
Yeah, shut up,
I wouldn't
Pat.
be too worried about it.
Yeah, shut up, Pat.
All right. So here's what we're doing.
So James, this
Lottery,
applies to every round, right? Not just round 1.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just because I have Carr's second round pick, so I have a little interest.
Honestly,
Yeah, the Allens.
it probably makes sense to only do it for the first round, but we've always done it the whole round because if someone wins the lottery, like Whitey's a great example where he wins, he goes from like 7th to 2nd every year.
Yeah,
He
that's true.
gets that
Right.
every round.
It's okay. He'll botch that pick, so
True.
it's fine.
Yeah.
All right. So I click this button, and then it will randomize these combinations. So I
Okay,
don't know if you guys
good.
remember this from last year, but I will click that now.
I love you just like showing numbers on a spreadsheet and
Yeah.
acting like we should just trust you.
Well, we do.
Yeah.
What's the current like order though of odds? That's probably worth showing.
Why do you have a Google search like website for random numbers?
For what?
It
Oh,
just says
here?
random. Give me a range of random numbers.
Yeah, this is going to be the random port numbers.
Oh yeah.
It's all going to be
Okay.
used.
Just,
But, okay,
just
so
I
these are-
already
these are
don't
the
trust
odds.
this.
So I
already
have
don't trust
highest
this.
odds for first,
No, of course you do.
and then James
How
from
convenient.
Greece's. Yeah. Sean, Will, James, Will, and Billy. So now I will go to these random lists. I will randomize first 4. So 1, 2, 8, and 13. 8, 2, 13. We'll do a second one. 2, 10, 4, 13.
Those are repeats.
Yeah, how do you get? Come on, man. This is
What?
bullshit.
They're combinations. I'm with you, Pat. I'm following you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
All right. And now here we go. So what I do is I click this button, and then it will reveal who the 8th pick is. So over
Yeah.
here, this is who the pick should be. If it doesn't show up as
Oh
this
my God,
person, it
the
means that they're
button.
guaranteed a top 2 pick. So if this, if I click this button and Billy's name does not disappear, he will go green, and it will mean that he has guaranteed a top 2
Oh, I
pick.
hope
So let's
he
see.
shows up.
Billy does not have a top 2 pick. So
Damn
next
it.
should be Will. Let's see.
Show us Pat. Put Pat at 6. Pat at
Oh.
6.
The worst
This
I
is
could do is
bullshit.
third, so I didn't be here. The next one, will this be Will? Yep.
This is
All right.
Now we
garbage.
have
Hook it
This
up,
is-
Pat.
it could be
Hook it up,
James.
Ah,
This is Will's actual pick. This could have been Greaves' pick. Let me just put that out there. Nope.
oh,
All right, so
I want
top
Sean
3.
to stay
Will
so
either be-
bad.
All right,
All
so
right,
this
Pat,
really worked
bring it
out.
on.
So second is going to be either James or me.
Ooh.
Let's see.
Oh,
Oh,
boo.
Oh,
oh,
Pat gets the first
idiot.
pick from his algorithm.
Man, no, this is
I knew this
everyone
was
is
gonna
fell into
happen.
line exactly how it was supposed to happen. Oh,
You
Yeah,
know-
this wasn't fun at all.
Pat,
I was
now
gonna
you
say,
gotta-
hasn't
Yes, there were
every
plenty of
lottery
combinations.
before this one been a
See?
nightmare? This one went status quo.
because this
See,
is the first
plenty
one
of
Pat's
combinations
doing.
that could have been. But yeah, this went straight up.
This is
Wait,
bullshit.
throw in another number and just validate to everybody that it'll give different results.
Yeah,
All right,
go
if
ahead.
the
Oh
number.
my god!
let's say this
Imagine
was
if
like,
they're the same.
I just want to make because it didn't. There was no change. I'll take it. I didn't lose the lottery for once. I'm okay.
let's say this was a 3.
Yeah, James has had some
So what
bad
did it
lottery
first?
luck in the past.
Yeah.
He's
6,
picking.
7,
He gets
3,
to pick the
13.
numbers. Oh, Pat's validated.
If
Pat's
it was
auditing
this
his own sheet.
combination, then James would have got first.
Okay. Cool. Makes sense.
Pat's auditing his own sheet with its own numbers. So let's just talk about that.
Oh, Pat's the auditor of his own work.
It's beautiful.
All
It's
right, let me,
beautiful. I think it.
The math is out here to validate if anybody wants to validate it. But
I'm gonna go delete it.
Let's go back real quick. So, Pat,
Yep.
keep it up and let me just type it in real quick. I'll do it live here. So Billy got the
Eight.
8th.
It
pick.
goes right in line. It's Billy, Will, James, Will, Sean, James, Pat.
Will's
But he'll
ET.
also have to do the VIA because like people
Oh,
will
yeah.
need to know for other rounds.
Yeah, that's okay. Oh, so shit. So 8 is actually
8 is actually Connor, but it's Billy round
Yeah.
1
yeah.
because then it's me round 2. and-
Yeah.
'cause
Allen just
Connor-
had to make the playoffs. I have a second round pick.
4 is Will. 3.
Will, you have 4 first round picks.
hmm
I can't wait for next year's what's it called? Presentation when we get to see how you bungled this.
All right. Draft order is set. So I
Hey,
got
he had
just
pick 1-1. At least he had the best rookie receiver this year, right?
this is
I'm
good.
very excited for this first pick. My stuff is turning around.
Who are you
Who you gonna
taking?
Oh,
Um,
Tad's
I don't know,
definitely
man. I guess
taking
we'll see.
Shadar Sanders.
No, it's just not gonna happen. It'll either be Travis Hunter or I don't know. I guess we'll see where the draft goes.
Yeah,
I'm very
dude.
excited for this draft pick. What are you gonna pick? I have no idea.
I don't have a
He
running
might
back
be-
though, so I might go Genty. We'll see.
If you might go Genty, Hunter's an interesting one though because he could hit with our league, he can kind of have multiple ways of putting up points.
Right.
I can't wait.
Or you're
Or he
gonna
just sucks.
draft him and he'll only be an IDP, which cornerbacks as IDP suck in our league.
Yeah,
You should actually take him. I think he's like fit your team. Like perfect.
I don't know. He's interesting. If he even just plays a little bit of offense and he's like a high tackle guy,
Yeah.
I don't know. There's
he's
many.
definitely like the riskiest talent because
Will, hear that? Risky.
So low.
Hear that, Will? Risky pick.
Oh no, I don't even know who you're talking about. Are we good with this? Am I allowed to go, James?